I'm really nervous.
Don't be nervous. It's fine. You're live. So.
I know I'm live, but I'm still nervous. They can know I'm nervous. Hello everyone. Welcome. I don't know what to do with the time being. My usual devices aren't not here for me. Like a poll and some music and some dark lighting. All right. Where we Well, yeah, we're here at Rhode Island Pride for the Rhode Island Pride Food and Supply Drive, the emergency food supply drive for COVID-19. We're just waiting to get some of these people in here, getting them viewing some great monologues, some great content. That's a little different than what we're normally putting out. I look great. Thank you for saying that. Yes, my hair is not natural. But she's still good. What else? The weather was really bad today, but tomorrow's supposed to be really nice. So I'm thinking like, overalls, a nice jumper. Let me know how you feel about that. I'm not going to take your advice, but you can let me know how you feel. Let's see, where are we at? Do I have any special requests? I don't know if I'm going to do them, but I can take requests.
I think you can start. I would start right. Go right.
Great. So, hello, my name is Elijah Dickenson, and welcome to The Show Goes On, a benefit for the Rhode Island Pride Food and Supply Drive. Tonight, we're featuring monologues by local writer Kevin Broccoli and some of the area's best local talent performing them remotely from their own homes. I'll be co-hosting with Kevin this evening. But before we get to our first performer, let me tell you a little bit about Rhode Island Pride and what we're doing right now. So we have started about 6 weeks ago a food and supply drive to help. It started out with helping just the LGBTQIA+ community, and now we're going on to helping everyone and anyone we can in Rhode Island. So right now our numbers are people served 8,273. Which means we've served 2,296 families. Those families are from 22 towns and cities all across Rhode Island, and the farthest we've gone to give someone supplies is 41 miles away. We have raised in funds without grants $30,700, and then grants received we've had $37,300. So with your help tonight, we hope to raise a little bit more funds to keep on going and keep serving the people of this state. So if you would like to donate, you can just text hashtag stay home to 44321. So again, if you just want to donate, it's going to be down here at the bottom of your screen. Hashtag stay home to 44321. So we want to thank everyone participating tonight, including Joe Lazzarini for all of his tech work, assistance in helping us put this together, and all of you watching at home. All of the monologues in tonight's show are brand new. They were written specifically for each of the performers, and they're all being written to be performed in this new virtual theater we're all becoming more familiar with, which makes tonight very special. Now, let's get to our first performer. He is the co-founder of Mixed Magic Theater in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and was most recently seen right here in Providence in Radio Golf at Trinity Rep, performing a piece called The Blender about what happens when you order online and it isn't what you bargained for. This is Mr. Ricardo Pitts-Wiley.
Dear Mr. Alton of Alton Appliances, I'm reaching out to you about a blender I received last month. Your website says that in the interest of innovation, you like people to submit video testimonials saying how much they like your products. Seeing as how you're willing to let people gush on video about what you do, I think it only fair that you play a video or two detailing some of the flaws products like the blender you sent me might have. Namely, it doesn't blend. Now, don't get me wrong, it does other things. It crushes, it grinds, it grates, it frappes, but it does not blend. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Mr. Tyler. Yes, you can call me Mr. Tyler. Mr. Tyler, grinding and grating and crushing are all versions of blending. Well, Mr. Alton of Alton Appliances, I got to tell you, I'm not interested in versions of a thing. I would like the thing and only the thing. I didn't order a crusher. I didn't order a grater. I ordered a blender. A simple blender that can make me the smoothies my wife says I need to drink because my doctor is a quack and says I can't have bacon and eggs for breakfast anymore. Man has 4 heart attacks and all of a sudden he's got to change his diet. I never heard of such a thing! My father ate nothing but chicken fried steak for every meal, every day of his life. Chicken fried steak for dinner, every day for 32 years. And when he died, they buried him with 2 sticks of butter because that's what he loved the most. Me? I have to drink smoothies with fruit in it I've never heard of, like papayas, plantains, something called a mango. That's communist fruit. That's what it is. But when you're my age, you do what your wife tells you, Mr. Alton. Are you married? If you are, then you know what I'm talking about. Because I have to drink all these damn smoothies, I got myself a new blender from your company only to find out it doesn't blend. Now, I'm not one of those men who's scared of change. I'm willing to give up the food I like. I'm willing to give up golf and poker games with my friends. And I'm going to the post office every day, right when it opens, so I can complain about how much a book of stamps costs now. I'm willing to stay home if that's what people want me to do. But I'll be damned if I order a blender that doesn't even have the word blend on it without speaking up. Some things have to be consistent in this world, Mr. Alton. You got to be able to count on something. And I'm counting on you to send me a blender that blends. That's what I want. I know you're doing your best, like the rest of us are, but I would appreciate it if you could deliver what I'm asking for. And until you do, I'm going to keep eating my eggs and bacon. So, by all means, take your time.
That was great, Mr. P. Thank you so much. Our next performer is someone very near and dear to my heart. They are a senior at URI studying theater, and we work together on Gypsy. So next up is Jess Ring. Jess will be performing an instructional piece about breaking and entering. This is How a Woman Robs a House.
A woman takes her time. She's not in a hurry. Hurry brings attention, even when no one's looking. Preparation is where you live or die. How much you prep depends on whether or not you get caught. A man might rush it, might want to get the ball rolling, might think it's safe to try when the family's out to dinner rather than on vacation or at the bowling alley for a few hours. A woman doesn't take a chance on a 1 hour in and out fiasco where there won't be any time to check the crawl spaces and the hiding places where all the good items are. A man breaks a window. He jimmies a door open, goes around the back. Women don't do this. They're audacious. They have to be. The sneakier they are, the more it reads from the house across the street or the window of a nosy neighbor with nothing better to do than spy on her neighbor's house. A woman parks her car right in front, gets out, dressed nicely. A good heel is crucial, and a big pocketbook. No sunglasses, they're off-putting. And you want to look professional, not pushy. Like a realtor, so that if someone sees you, they'll think, I didn't know the Watermans were thinking of selling. But that's all they'll think before they go back to whatever puzzle they were doing or show they were watching. A woman walks right up to the spot where the family keeps their spare key, retrieves it, and lets herself in. It's usually taped underneath a fake rock or a flower pot. Then prep work tells you that it's going to be there, and anybody watching would assume that no burglar just walks up to the secret spare key spot and uses it to let themselves in. This is a woman, not a burglar. She has a purpose. She's got something to do. She is allowed inside this house. Turn the lights on once you're inside. Turn them all on. And if there are windows, good. If there are curtains, open them. Audacity is the only way you walk out of here without handcuffs on. Do not steal anything for the first 10 minutes. You're inside the house. Instead, walk around, walk in front of the windows, survey the place as though you left something valuable here and are only now able to come back for it. If only you knew where it was. Anybody peering in at you will become bored rather fast because you don't have any makeup on and you've made yourself look really plain. So why would anybody stare at you for very long? Finally, once you've wasted plenty of time, hoist exactly 10 items out of the house and nothing you can't fit in that giant pocketbook of yours. You've done your homework, so you know what your 10 items will be, mostly jewelry, no credit cards or anything traceable. Nothing belonging to the kids. God, you're not a monster. And be sure to leave a note, letting the family know that you won't be back, so once they get their insurance, they can sleep easy. You're not in the business of terrorizing people, just making money. You're of the Catwoman lineage. You're almost royalty. And as you walk out, smile at nobody in particular, just the last remaining neighbor who was still watching for lack of anything better to do, but who sees nothing except a woman pleased about, well, who can say? Women are so hard to figure out, aren't they? Best not to think too much about it.
Thanks so much, Jess. Hi, everybody. I'm Kevin Broccoli, and I am the writer of all the monologues you're seeing tonight. So if you don't like them, then find me on Instagram, follow me, and I'll immediately block you. Thank you so much. I'm also the artistic director of Epic Theater Company in Cranston, and I want to thank Elijah and Joe for all their hard work tonight and the incredible people at Rhode Island Pride for continuing to do so much for this community. Now, so many of us are finding ourselves trapped at home right now with some new realities in place, one might say, and some new hobbies, and you're starting to feel tense. And so you might identify with the character in our next piece. Performing the book club rules will be my friend Theodore Clement, a local director and the theater program coordinator at the Community College of Rhode Island. Take it away, Ted.
Hey guys. I am so excited that we have this club for talking about stuff, books, and it would be, if you guys would, again, no pressure, but if you guys would read the books that we're discussing, that would be great. I'm just sending you this little video message to touch on that point, that your feelings and talking about your feelings and sharing stories about things that you see on the news or whatever is fine, but well, for some people, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say, for me, it can be a little much sometimes, which is why we're reading, like light fiction and stuff like that wouldn't, drag us down too much, So, yeah, please read the book. Even watch the movie that the book is based on. I know some of you are having a hard time concentrating right now, and I get that, believe me, but there's really no point to a book club if nobody reads the book. So please, do that. Also, in terms of dress code, obviously that's loose these days. The idea of, but I would ask that when you sign into the book club meeting that you wear a shirt and pants. I guess you can get away with, but definitely a shirt. A shirt is, I really think we need to, obviously we don't want to set too many rules. Since it's supposed to be fun, but I do think that certain things like wearing shirts and not signing into the meeting from your bathroom is, I think it's important that we make that a ground rule. And I don't want Joe to feel singled out here. We love you, buddy, but I don't know, man. Watching you cry in the shower while the rest of us are trying to talk about East of Eden was pretty difficult. Just a reminder that you're totally allowed to skip a meeting if you have a really bad day. Skip 2 meetings, We want to make sure to check in with each other, but Dan, again, I don't want to single anybody out, but if you're in the middle of fighting with your wife, I'm not sure that you should still try to log in while still carrying on. But although I should say that I think that Kate has a point. Okay, I mean, sooner or later you're going to have to shower, Dan. I mean, you know, I love you, buddy, but. And then finally, please be sure to take a look at what's going on behind you when you fire up the laptops. Okay, I mean, Bill, Bill, that painting of you in your living room is. I enjoy seeing a naked man on top of a leopard as much as the next guy, Bill. But I mean, my kid walked in the room right when we started the meeting, and he and I had to have a long talk that night, and I just wasn't in the right frame of mind, you know. So yeah, you know, I love you guys, you know, and I'm so glad we're doing this, so we can just keep in touch. Just you know, I think we need some ground rules, you know, some new ground rules for our new, reality, and I think that once this is all over, we should probably never talk about any of the stuff we're finding out about each other. Like, you know, ever. Just treat this like one big, like Las Vegas kind of time, right? Right. Cool. Okay. So I'll see you all on Tuesday. And for the next meeting, and remember, read the book and pants. Don't forget your pants.
Great, thank you, Ted. Thanks so much. Love the new hairstyle. Some people shaved, some people went gray. You know, some of us made good choices, some of us made not so good choices. No, I'm just kidding. Love you. You look great. Also, so we have been raising money this whole time. Obviously, we want you to donate. Some of you have been donating. That is amazing. Just remember that everyone here at Pride knows something about all of you that you don't want getting out to the public. So if you don't donate, we're just going to start putting it on live TV. It's just how it's going to work. So text hashtag stay home to 44321. That's hashtag stay home to 44321. And I will not bust out the old live journal. Joey might, but I will not unless we don't hit those numbers that we're looking for. Okay, getting right on to our next performer, who was last seen in Edward II at Burbage Theater Company in Pawtucket. She's an actress. She goes by one name, which we know the gays love. You have to have at least one named performer on anything like this. So she's an actress who's worked all over the state, including my theater. We're so glad to have her here tonight, performing a piece called Zoom. This is Katya.
You know what I'm all set with? I keep getting invited to these Zoom parties. Okay, sounds fun. I'm game. Then I get there to the Zoom party. And what is it? 12 people all staring at each other and wondering who's going to talk first. And if you talk first, everybody looks at you. And when you're done talking, somebody else is supposed to talk. And then as time goes on, somebody becomes like the host of this party. That's fine. Parties have hosts. I get it. But the host of this party only has one job. And that job is to make sure everybody talks about everything. You can't just sit there in your little square listening to other people. You have to participate in the party. You know why I go to parties? I'll give you a hint. It's not to participate in anything. I like to sit in the corner of the room, look at my phone, and wait for somebody to get mad at somebody else or get drunk and act stupid. This ain't that. This is like being on CNN and it's election night and everybody's got to say how they think Ohio's going to vote. It is stressful. And you can't leave. You can't leave the Zoom. No sneaking out, no Irish goodbye, nothing. If you want to leave the Zoom, you have to lie and say you have another Zoom. When really, after you do one Zoom, the last thing you want to do is another Zoom. Every time somebody asks me to come to one of these things, I want to lie and say I can't. But everybody knows that none of us are doing anything right now. So yeah, sure. I'll go to your honeybee extinction discussion group. Why not? The situation has me really worked up. Do you know what my favorite thing in the world to do is? Flake. I love it. I love to flake. And I know I can't flake. How would I flake? Say something came up? Where? Where did something come up? In one of the 3 rooms in my apartment? Did something come up in the kitchen? Everybody knows you're full of it. And another thing, now that you can't flake, everybody knows who the flakes are. We've been called out by the virus because I'm not going to stop blowing people off. So I just have to own it. I just have to say, yup, that's me. I'm a flake. And I don't want to be at this Zoom party because it reminds me of chat roulette. And we got rid of that because it was lame. That's how I feel about it. And now I don't know what to say. But I can't leave. I gotta wait to hear what everybody else has to say yet. How many of you are in this chat with me? 16 people? Great. Maybe by the time everybody's done, this whole pandemic will be over. I can't wait to sneak out the back again. I miss it. I really miss it.
Thank you so much, Katya. That spoke to all of our souls. Thank you, Daria, for that. So our next performer is an actor and director who's worked all over Rhode Island, including as professor at the University of Rhode Island. That's why Kevin thought it would be appropriate to give him a monologue that takes place in the new world of remote education. Here's Vince Petronio with what we say about the Romans.
I'm recording this now for students in my 400 class because I've decided I'm retiring, so there is no need to watch what I say anymore. So listen up, punks. The Romans were a bunch of jerks. You read a history book, it says the Romans did this, the Romans did that. You know what the Romans did? The Romans looked at all the good things the Greeks did and went, let's steal that, rename it, and say we invented it. The Romans did to Western civilization what white people did to rock and roll. Oh, and if anybody said, excuse me, but I invented that thing, you know what they did to you? Nailed you to a cross and burned your library. These are the people we get all excited about because they gave us roads. Roads. The Greeks gave us math, philosophy, odometers, Olympics, alarm clocks, and souvlaki. But I have to spend 2/3 of my class and kiss Julius Caesar's dead rear end when the idiot got assassinated on the same day his wife said, hey, I wouldn't go to work today if I were you. I think you might get assassinated. You know what that moron does? That history-changing genius? He goes to work. I mean, my wife tells me to stay home because she's making chili, and I say, sure, but Caesar just had to go in that day. Genghis Khan is currently related to 37 million people alive today, but Shakespeare didn't write a play about him now, did he? You know why? Because when Genghis's wife told him, don't raid any villages today, you might get assassinated, he listened. Look, the reality is history is written by those who steal and bring a label maker with them when they steal, so they can label everything that they stole as theirs. But more than that, it's written by the people who know enough to stay home when they're told to. Tacitus said, he that fights and runs away may turn and fight another day. But he that is in battle slain will never rise to fight again. All right, so Tacitus was a Roman, but we won't hold that against him. What he's saying is you don't need to get stabbed to death today. You can get stabbed to death tomorrow or next week. You see, students, life is not about preventing getting stabbed to death by people you thought were your friends. Life is about deciding when you feel like getting stabbed to death by people you thought were your friends. Forgetting that all your friends are politicians, and not just politicians, but Roman politicians, which means you may as well be friends with a bunch of garbage-chewing raccoons wearing God knows what. Look, now for your final exam, I'd like you to draw me a photo of a raccoon chewing on a piece of trash while he stabs Caesar to death on the steps of the Senate. All right, it won't be historically accurate, but that's okay. Sometimes history is about what happened, and sometimes it's about making sure it doesn't happen again.
Oh, thank you so much, Vince. Just as another reminder to everyone, if you would like to donate to our cause, please text #StayHome to 44321 to donate to the Rhode Island Food and Supply Drive. We have been doing great things here, feeding over 8,000 people. So with your help, we can continue to do that. Now, next, if you're a musical theater fan watching tonight, then the next piece is going to be right up your alley. With so many friends reconnecting online, Kevin decided to write a piece for our next performer about a little orphan who's all grown up and maybe a little more cynical than she used to be. Performing the piece will be Joanne Fan, a founding member of the Women's Work Theater Collaborative in Cranston, Rhode Island. This is performing Annie and the Orphanage.
Hello, everyone. God, I'm so happy we could do this. I know you kept asking me, and I kept saying, maybe, maybe. But now that I have no reason not to do this, I'm so excited that I have to. You know, the truth is, I just didn't realize that you all enjoyed your time so much at Hannigan's Orphanage. I know for me, it was pretty depressing. I mean, it was an orphanage. I don't know if there are any happy orphanages out there, but I know ours was not one of them. Oh, sure, there was singing and dancing, but we were only allowed to do it while scrubbing floors, so kind of took the joy right out of it for me. That's a long-lasting impression, you know. To this day, the minute I hear a show tune, I'm down on my hands and knees with a bucket and a rag and tears streaming down my... So, how are all of you doing? I follow Pepper on Instagram, but the rest of you... By the way, Pepper, I'm surprised you didn't change your name. Well, I always thought Pepper was more of a nickname, not necessarily a name you take with you for the rest of your life. I figured after med school you changed it, but since you didn't, I gotta know. Do your patients call you Dr. Pepper? My kids told me not to do that joke, but I've been waiting for so long. Things are well with me. I took over the company from Daddy Warbucks and we shifted to a cosmetic company. As you can see, I managed to get the hair under control. You know, or I did until we weren't allowed to go to salons anymore. And I ran out of our flagship product because we import it from overseas. So now I might as well just put on the red dress and sing about my biological parents because I am retrogressing fast. I had 3 children. Now, all daughters, all teenagers. Send help. They're I wouldn't say they're spoiled, but they do complain a lot because I won't let each of them have their own maid. I was hoping this time could be beneficial to us because we've had to lay off most of the housekeeping staff, and the girls really need to be, you know, humbled. I tried putting on music to see if I could get them to clean the kitchen, but it turns out that chick doesn't run in the family. The other day, I tried telling them about what it was like to be back at the orphanage before I got adopted, and they were like, Mom, you're not allowed to be in this wing of the house. This is my wing. God. Kids are, you know, kids, right? So that's what's going on with me. Oh, and also the company bought Sweden last week. I'm not sure if that makes me the president or something, but it's very exciting. Maybe we should all take a trip there when this is over. Well, I mean, you know, maybe all of you should. I'm going to be busy with things, with, you know, whatever there is to do when this is all over. But for now, I'm trying to keep a positive attitude. If nothing else, there's always tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Joanne. Love that. When you get an opportunity to have Joanne Fayen play Grown Up Annie, you just don't pass that up. All right. So we are doing very well with donations, but listen, not well enough, right? I mean, I'm from the theater community, but I'm also, allegedly a gay. So I know that you all out there have money. Come on, pony up. You want to text hashtag stay at home to 44321. Don't make me look bad in front of my people. Come on, theater people. I know who's in the chat room. I know some of you have money. Come on. But let's get right along to our next performer. I'm super excited about this. So when the pandemic, look how adorable he looks. Can you stand it? Okay. When the pandemic began, one of the areas that was hit the hardest, obviously, was the vibrant performing arts community that we're so lucky to have in Rhode Island. Shows were canceled and theaters had to get creative with how we reach our audiences. Events like the one you're watching right now show that art, like pride, is resilient. Now, the next thing you're about to see is a little different. This summer, my theater company was scheduled to perform a brand new play that I'd written about a recent presidential candidate that some of you might be aware of. Now, the play has since been postponed, but we wanted to give you a special look at the show right here tonight. And I asked my friend, I don't know if there he is, Michael Poopy, to be the one performing it. This is Michael Poopy doing a small selection from the play, Mayor Pete.
Do you know what the long, dark night of the soul is? The phrase has been going around in my mind as of late. A spiritual crisis that you endure to one day become reunited with the light. Darkness, the darkness in the phrase, it doesn't refer to obstacles. That's what most people think when they hear the phrase, but it's not accurate. It's more complicated than that. There's a poem by St. John of the Cross called Dark Night of the Soul. It's a beautiful poem. He didn't name it that, but he did write 2 books all about it. St. Paul had his dark night, lasted 50 years. St. Teresa's lasted nearly as long as well. In the Bible, or in biblical circumstances, time is fluid. A day is 100 years. A person lives to be centuries old. Our pain is everlasting until it ends. There's a young man in South Bend, Indiana, who's been addicted to opioids for the past 6 years. It's very unlikely he will survive his dark night of the soul. His parents prayed with me once. I held their hands. They had no idea where their son was. He'd been addicted for a few months at this point. 2 weeks later, the police found him on the street, nearly dead. They brought him home. He got better, and then he relapsed, and he's still struggling. 6 years. His parents prayed for him. I still pray for him. At a campaign stop in Iowa, somebody asked me if I believe our burdens are all equally heavy in the eyes of God. This was at a VFW hall in Manning. Nobody in the room knew what to make of that question. Until then, all the inquiries had been about policy. A lot of questions about healthcare, some about national security. This was the first question I got that was, well, I say it was personal. The ears on my staff picked up, of course. This was an opportunity. But opportunities are tricky because they're the twin of risk. Somebody told me that once, but I can't seem to remember who. Are all our burdens equally heavy in the eyes of God? A question that would most often be put to a priest or a spiritual leader, a pastor or a rabbi. People seek all kinds of guidance from their leaders, even spiritual guidance from leaders who would seem to not be so spiritual, I suppose. Of course, that's not the case with me. Are all our burdens equally heavy in the eyes of God? I'd never been asked that before, and there I was in Manning, Iowa, in a VFW hall doing my third town hall of the day, and with one more to go, and somebody wanted to know. The woman, she looked desperate. She was 40, 45, hands clung together, light blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, fuzzy blue sweater with a pin on it. She wanted to know if I thought my burdens could be as heavy as heavy as the burden of those parents in South Bend who had to wait up all night hoping their son wasn't dead in an abandoned house somewhere. I looked at that woman and I said, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And then I took the next question, and the one after that, and the one after that. The woman stayed standing until all of the questions were answered. And then that night, hours after the forum was over and I was on a plane to New Hampshire or somewhere, that woman went home and she got into bed and she had a heart attack. She died in her sleep. I don't know her name, but I wish I did. I'm running for president. I'm running for president. Here. Let me teach you how to pronounce my last name.
Oh. All right, thanks so much, Poopy. By the way, the minute I put my Poopy on screen, dressed like a Catholic schoolboy, every gay in Rhode Island tuned in. So I'd like to remind you that he is taken, and he is also attending Hendricken in the fall. So a couple of quick things. We are trying to keep tonight moving right along because we know you all want to start watching all 3.5 hours of Drag Race. That's not a joke. There's going to be 3.5 hours of Drag Race on tonight. So before you go anywhere, at any point in the show, make sure you hashtag stay home to 44321. We want that money. Rita Marin said she donated because I scared her. I can scare many more people before the end of the night. That's why I wore my fear blazer. Okay. Now, someone I love is up next. I love our next performer. I love all our performers, but I sort of kind of love this one the most. All right. I am so glad she could join us tonight. She is an actress, a wonderful actress, and another member of the amazing Women's Work Theater Collaborative that operates alongside me at the Artist Exchange in Cranston. I love having them there and performing a piece all about how family passes on tradition any way it can. This is Miss Paula Faber with Cooking from a Distance.
Vicki, I'm going to tell you how to make the sauce. But before I do, I just want to let you know that you're not going to do it right. I'm going to tell you exactly how I do it, and you're going to try your best, and then it's not going to taste like mine, and that's okay. You are in many ways an improvement over me, your mother. You're smarter, you're funnier. Your father says that you're nicer than me, but he's the dumbest man I've ever met in my life, so what does he know? But there is one thing that you're never going to get right, and that's my sauce. I wouldn't even bother trying to teach you how to make it, but I know it cheers you up when you're feeling bad, and I know you must be feeling so bad right about now, so far from home and by yourself with just you and that boyfriend I don't approve of. You call him a husband if you want, but just because you marry somebody and you have a wedding that your father paid for against my wishes, and you get a marriage certificate and 8 years go by and without a divorce, that doesn't make somebody your husband. He's an okay guy, I guess, but the first time he meets me, he doesn't clean his plate. What's that about? I'm trying to stay positive, so I won't bring it up again until tomorrow when we FaceTime. But right now, we're not doing grievances, we're doing sauce. I don't know how much garlic you have there, but you're going to need more. You're going to think that you have enough, and you're dead wrong. You can't possibly have enough garlic there. So see if that guy you live with the wedding ring can go get some more. Just make sure he puts on that mask I sent him. You know, the one with the pooping dog on it. I thought he'd appreciate the humor. Once you put all the garlic in, you're going to start adding this and that, and I have no idea how much of anything that you put in the sauce, but you're going to have to guess. And you're going to get it wrong, and that's how my sauce is going to become your sauce. Your grandmother's sauce was better than my sauce, and her mother's sauce was better than her sauce. And I bet if we went back to Sicily in the 1500s, we'd find an old woman making a sauce so good, it would make both of us give up cooking forever. And that's why we should be grateful that there aren't any time machines around, because at least for right now, I can say I make the best sauce on the planet. But I know it's not as good as the ones I used to have growing up. And you're going to feed yourself a sauce that'll never be as good as the one you had growing up. And that's what we call tradition. Making a lesser sauce than your mother. It's a beautiful family tradition. The important thing isn't that it's as good as mine. The important thing is that it's something I can give you, even when we're so far apart. And one day, when we're back together again, I'll teach you how to make it in person. It still won't be as good as mine, but I can at least hug you a few times as you're making it so you don't feel so bad. Until then, we're going to have to do our best. Sometimes, kid, that's all you can do.
Thank you so much, Paula. I can't wait for all this to be done next week. Oh, yeah. So our next piece is all about working remotely and a boss who's making sure his employees aren't getting too comfortable. Performing the piece will be a local actor and writer, Aaron Blank. Here he is with Work from Home.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing well working from home and working hard, right? Just kidding. We don't want you to stress out about work. But we do want to remind you we're coming up on 3 deadlines in the next 72 hours, so just keep those work hats on, but take them off when you need to after the 72-hour time period has lapsed. Thank you so much from me and the rest of your family here at G&V Tech and Innovation, because we do believe that this company is a family. And like biological family, we also require that you love us unconditionally and support us until you are emotionally bankrupt. I'm just kidding. Oh, gotta keep it light, right? Gotta keep that humor going. So, I just wanted to address an issue I know some of you might have when we reach the glorious end of this nasty little tunnel we're in, and that's working from home. I know some of you are probably thinking, wow, I pretty much did my entire job from home. Can't I just keep working remotely? And the answer to that is a big old no from your family here at G&V. Hey, just pretend I'm your dad. And you're saying, Dad, can I skip school and just take on my tests and out in the backyard, sitting by the pool, enjoying myself? Dad's got to say no, doesn't he? He might not want to. In fact, Dad might want to work from home himself, but he can't. And neither can you. Even though it seems like you can. And the reason for that is our granddad and grandmoms. Not trying to be, I'm not trying to have I want to be inclusive here. Anyway, our grandparents at the top of the G&B ladder, they worked their whole lives, coming into an office, having meetings, sitting at their desk, working away for hours at a time, alienating their spouses, never seeing their children, watching their health deteriorate. And they did all of that so that one day we would all do exactly the same thing. The fact is that no matter what all those studies say. The anecdotal belief is that remote work is not as good as the work you folks can do when you chain to the old desk right here at your favorite watering hole at G&B headquarters. And admit it. You miss it, don't you? Coming in, seeing your coworkers, getting those check-ins from your manager every 15 minutes or 10 minutes if your guy or gal is a real pain in the you-know-what. The 5-hour Friday meetings where we go around and talk about how each department is underperforming. Free Donut Tuesday. Who doesn't miss those? None of that stuff can happen from home. And that's why, even though everything seems to be going smoothly while you're all working from the apartments you can barely afford because we don't pay you enough. Another little joke there. But that reminds me, we need to talk about pay cuts later. Anyway, we can't wait until you're all back here again. I gotta tell you, old Mr. G has been screaming at me every day on the phone about how he doesn't understand why he has to keep paying his lazy employees to sit around and upload an email once a day. He's pretty senile, I have to say. But he's got a point. We're all better off when we're all together. Except for right now. But once right now is right back there in the past, we expect to see you back with your family at G&B for 60 to 80 hours a week. I know. I can't wait either.
Thank you so much, Aaron. You can catch his brand new live game show, Fill in the Blank, tomorrow night on Epic Theater Company's Facebook page at 7 p.m. Now, I have the pleasure of introducing right here in our studio, the Vice President of Pride and my favorite bartender, Joe Lazzarini.
Don't worry, folks. I'm not doing a monologue. But I just wanted to, first of all, give a huge shout out to Kevin Broccoli and to Alijah for organizing, this really, really awesome event tonight. And before we introduce, do you like my mask?
Love it.
Do you love that? I'm just kidding. Before they introduce the next performer, I really just wanted to thank both of them for all they've done to help bring this event together, but also to thank all of you, the viewers, and to ask you to dig in a little deeper to help support the Rhode Island Pride Emergency Food and Supply Drive. This drive has helped over 3,000 families, or almost 3,000 families across Rhode Island, over 8,000 individual people across every single city and town throughout the state. We've had volunteers that have traveled miles to do no contact deliveries, to support those who are out of work. Many of you who are watching, to support those who are out of work right now due to COVID-19. And this whole project really came about by a few members of Rhode Island Pride who came together to organize this mutual aid project. And with your continued support, we can continue to help people until folks are back to work. So I'm asking you right now, text #StayHome to 44321 to support the Rhode Island Pride Food and Emergency Supply Drive. I know you can do it. And if we all continue to work together, we'll continue to raise the funds to support this and to support this incredible work to help people all across the Ocean State. Thank you, and stay safe. Wear a mask. Wash your hands. Back to you, Alijah.
Thank you. We're so excited to have our next performer with us tonight. He's an actor and director, most recently seen on stage at Trinity Rep in Radio Golf. And he'll be performing.
He's not in the background, so.
All right, 1 second.
And I'm gonna just do this because we're having a problem. I look good. This is why I did it, in case this happened. Hello, audience. What can I do to keep things interesting?
What are some of the other things that have been happening here in the past few weeks?
My role here. So for 6 weeks, going on 7, I have been here every day, almost every day besides Sunday, packing boxes, organizing orders and requests, making sure drives are here to bring stuff. So my role here is assistant manager of operations and co-warehouse manager. So my jobs range from doing social media and making sure our outreach there is good, making sure volunteers are being signed up, and making sure that they're all taken care of when they're here, whether that be in our warehouse packing boxes, organizing groceries, bringing groceries in. We are on the second floor right now of the building, so making sure we have enough people to be able to load things in without tiring ourselves out, and delivering myself. So I've done every single job imaginable here, and I've just been continuing my journey here and raising the bar on what I can do here to bring it to the next level. We are continuing to help people. We just got through our backlog, so we're taking new requests now. It's on a day-to-day basis. That way we can make sure that backlog doesn't happen and we can reach as many people as we can as fast as we can. So we will be having orders go out tomorrow and then Monday. So if you are in need of help, please feel free to find the link in our Facebook. I believe it is tinyurl.com/Pride Supply Drive if you need anything. If you do need anything, please ask for help. If you cannot give money, then please maybe consider giving your time, and you can go to tinyurl.com/supply drive volunteers. But if you can give money, feel free to text #stay home to 44321.
I'm still waiting for him to join a
That's
second,
okay.
but
Okay.
there's some news tune out right there on the bottom of the screen.
Tonight we have raised over $1,000, which is absolutely fantastic.
We want more.
We want more. Keep it coming.
We are greedy.
It's not so greedy. Oh,
Oh,
fabulous. Great.
Feel free.
Stephen on stage at Trinity Reps Radio Club, and he'll be performing a piece all about what happens when you wind up quarantined with a very special kind of roommate. This is the wonderful Joe Wilson Jr. with the
Tonight we
Princess
have raised
and-
over $1,000, which is absolutely fantastic.
We want more.
We want more. Keep it coming.
We are greedy.
Tell him.
Joe, you have to turn off the screen on your phone. Lower your volume.
Feel free. At Trinity Reps Radio Club, and he'll be performing
Lower the volume
very special kind of roommate.
on your computer.
Your phone. You have to
Lower
close
the
the
volume.
Facebook Live.
What's happening? What is
Close the Facebook
happening?
Live.
Fantastic. One more. We want
What's happening?
more. Keep it coming. We are greedy.
Close.
I know you have to turn on your phone.
Take him off the screen, and we should go to Tony and help him figure it out.
Okay.
Is
So,
that okay?
Actually, let's go to
Elijah?
Yeah, let's have Elijah do yours.
well,
switch off.
one moment.
All right. We're good. We're just doing a little technical difficulties. This is what makes it all exciting. It's a learning curve, right? So we are going to go to our next performer, which is actually my co-host for this evening. So I have had such a wonderful time co-hosting tonight with Alijah. Alijah has actually spearheaded this whole thing, but she's also a fantastic actress. So I asked if I could write a special piece for her to perform tonight. And we're actually coming up on, we only have a couple of pieces left in the evening, so we're very excited. So Alijah is going to be playing a student with a very famous professor. But as he's about to learn, even the most celebrated archaeologists have to listen to a few complaints. So this is your lovely co-host for the evening in her gorgeous jumper that she's already gotten many compliments on, performing Dear Dr. Jones. This is Alijah Dickenson.
Dear Dr. Jones, I hope you are well. I heard about the thing with the Nazis. They suck, right? Anyway, I'm writing to you because I was wondering if I could have a little more time to finish my paper on the dig site scandal of 1894. I know you're probably getting this letter while riding on the back of a truck being pursued by armed thugs, but I just need you to understand that I am also going through quite a bit in my life right now. I recently had to leave Yale unexpectedly because Grandpapa decided to let go of his long-term maid, who was something like an aunt to all of us. Aunt maid person was very near and dear to us. And as Father always liked to remark, nobody could shine a floor like her. The family had to have an emergency meeting to decide whether we needed to hire 1 or 2 maids to replace her, since they don't make maids like that anymore. Heaven forbid you ask anyone to work more than 70 hours a week. Suddenly, they're making demands like livable wages and access to doctors for that spot on their back. That's probably just dirt, since, servants are known for their cleanliness. So we thought about hiring 2 maids, but that would eat into the inheritance, and while none of us like talking about money, it seems a waste to use Grandpapa's sizable fortune on cleaning floors. Dr. Jones, I know right now you're probably stealing an artifact from an ancient temple, running like the Dickens from a giant orb that's an inch away from crushing your bones to dust. But you have to understand how trying the past week has been for me. Setting aside the melodrama with the maid, my tennis coach has decided that now is a good time to give up coaching and turn pro. Personally, I don't care. I loathe tennis, and I look positively ghoulish in white shorts. But now I have nothing to do. Tuesdays at 11, and I hate having my week disrupted. Now I have to find a new hobby. Otherwise, I'll just be sitting around every Tuesday afternoon with nothing to do other than schoolwork. And while I would love nothing more than to spend an hour of my time writing one of your little papers, Tuesday mornings are for recreation, the same way Thursday afternoons are for extravagant naps. Rather than do the paper I owe you, I had to spend hours of my time choosing between water polo and acquiring stolen art. I ended up moving my extravagant nap to Tuesday and found another tennis coach for Thursday, but I refused to wear white shorts. But this coach doesn't care. She's blind. She has no idea what I'm wearing, and truthfully, I don't even bother playing. I just throw balls up and down the court until the time runs out. Dr. Jones, I know you didn't return my last few letters and on requesting extensions on my paper, and probably because you're trapped in a sewer with your father covered in rats and facing down death, but I am riddled with stress. Please let me know at your earliest convenience whether I can have a few additional weeks to finish the paper, and if there is an opportunity for extra credit, well, I'd love to take you up on that. Best wishes on your various adventures. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to my tennis lesson. It's very important to stay on top of your commitments, but I'm sure you know that already.
Good. All right. Thank you, Elijah. Joe, how are we looking?
We're looking good.
We're looking good. Are we going to Joe?
Yep.
Fantastic. All right. So we've already introduced him like 3 times, but he's awesome. So I'm gonna do it one more time. I love Joe Wilson Jr. He's amazing. And we're going to go right into his piece. So this is all about being quarantined with a very unusual roommate. This is the amazing Joe Wilson Jr. doing The Princess and Me.
Dear Charles, you said you missed seeing my face, so here it is. My face. How does it look? Does it look angry, Charles? Does it look tired? Exhausted, maybe? Maybe depleted? Charles, do you remember when a year ago on our 5th anniversary, you told me that you wanted a dog? And I told you that I didn't think getting a dog was a good idea because of how much you travel for work. And you said, I don't travel that much. And I said there might come a time when your work would take you away for a few weeks or even longer. And you said, Michael, don't be ridiculous. In my line of work, the only thing that would take me away longer than a week would be a worldwide health crisis. And I said, okay, fine, then let's get a dog. Well, Charles, here we are. You are in Atlanta and I am here with your dog. In case you were wondering how Princess and I are getting along, I should tell you that she's decided to express her displeasure in you not being here by destroying everything I own. Now, you might ask yourself, how does destroying my things punish you? I ask myself as well, Charles. I ask myself that every single day. But Princess is not a woman of reason. She is resentful, Charles. She is bitter. She is petty. She is very much your daughter, your dog daughter. And while I've tried to make peace with her, I've come to realize that she is a woman of war and that we should have named her Athena. The other day, she jumped up and knocked down a photo of the two of us together and proceeded to urinate on my face. Oh, and Charles, she was very careful not to let the stream hit your part of the photo. She is exacting, Charles. She is precise in her fury. And the only time we have a truce is at night when she hops into bed with me, despite my protesting, and snuggles up to me, while still lightly growling as she drifts into sleep, as if to let me know that at any moment she could wake up and rip out my throat. Charles, your princess is actually more like a czar, like a Russian czar, a despot. She's Caligula. She's King Henry. She's Herod. The point is, I don't like her, Charles. Not at all. I have never liked her. But at least when you were here, she and I shared something that kept us both in line. Now I find myself only feeding her the cheapest dog food and hiding her toys so she can't find them. And of course, she always does. Like you, she's too smart for her own good. Just yesterday, she walked by me holding a squeaky duck I had placed carefully at the back of our closet, and as she passed by me, she defecated in a pair of my favorite shoes, without even bothering to pause. You have to admire a willful creature that is Charles. You know, it occurred to me that perhaps she doesn't realize you're coming back. Animals are intuitive, but they don't always watch Rachel Maddow. I thought about this, and then I played the voicemail you left me for Princess so she could hear your voice and hopefully assume that you meant you would eventually return. You should have seen how excited she got. She spun around in circles and she peed everywhere. But at least this time it was out of joy and not vengeance. When the voicemail ended, she pushed her head lovingly into my stomach and whined happily, clearly relieved. Charles, I felt such affection for her in that moment. With you gone, I felt aimless. We take care of each other, you and I, and without you here, I thought all I had to take care of was myself, and that Princess just needed a water bowl refilled every now and again, but it's more than that. She needs somebody to love, the same way I do. So, we're starting anew, she and I, and as soon as I'm done with this video, I'm going to put on my mask and take her out for a walk. I think both of us would agree that neither of us is a substitute for you. You're full of flaws, but you're also devastatingly irreplaceable. And I miss you so much. As does the banshee you left me with. But you know what they say. If you can't be with the one you love the dog. Love the dog they left you with. Bye.
Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all of us for hanging in there. I got to write a piece for Joe Wilson Jr., right? What's better than that? So we are down to our last performer of the evening, but here's the thing. So you all have been donating. We're very happy. Okay, but they just told me how much they raise typically when they do these things. And yes, normally there are drag queens. I forgot to invite mine. They're still back at home, probably making fondue. I don't know. But I don't want to go home having raised the least of like all of these special events. So theater people, I'm calling out to you. I know you're rich. I know you're rich and you're out there. I will find you. I will find you and I will make you donate. So you want to text Hashtag stay home to 44321. You've been doing it. We appreciate it. We love it so much. We just want you to keep it up as we go into our final performance of the evening. And I am so excited to introduce this final piece. I don't want to take up too much more of your time setting it up. I just want to say that it has been a while since I have written a piece that is sort of this epic in scope. And so please welcome Tony Estrella performing The Theology Professor.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're holding up well. The university wanted me to remind you to keep checking the school's website for updates. Yeah. Now, I want to talk for a bit. So you just listen and we'll see where this goes. When I was a student, like all of you are now, I was finishing up my advanced degree in theology at another school that is not as good as this one is, but it's very reputable. And my professor asked me if I'd like to take part in, well, I guess you could say it was an experiment that he said ancient monks used to have to, endure as a part of their training. And well, I said, okay, when you're in your 20s, you say yes to things, and you spend the next 20 years wondering if that was the right call. But well, so I say sure, and he says, okay. There were, I think there were like 5 other people in the program with me at that point, because believe it or not, most people drop out, or more people drop out of theology programs than med school. It's this strange. You all probably understand why, but to the outsider, it might seem odd. No, so we were down to 5 students in my program, and 4 of us said we would do the ancient monk experiment, even though whether we did it or not wasn't going to affect our place in the program. But we loved our professor, this old steamship, Dr. Dubium, who was like a cross between Tolkien and John Houseman from the Paper Chase. He couldn't stand any of his students, and that made us really, really want to please him. So we said, okay, Dr. D, what do you got? And he gave us a place and a time, and he told us to be there and to not tell anyone where we were going or what we were doing. I was a little, whatever, but I did as I was told. So Sunday morning, 8 a.m., we carpool together and we drive to this building at the edge of campus. Abandoned, used to be the psych building, boarded up for the most part, except you could still go in the front door and into some of the classrooms. Okay, so Dr. Dubium lines us up, and one by one he leads us into the building. And I was the first one to go in. It's barely any light, a rat or 2 running around, but that was the only noise. And he took us. Well, he took me. I don't know where the others, but he took me down one flight of stairs, then down a few corridors, and into this room with no windows, a big, heavy door. No idea what they would have used it for back then. But well, he took me in there. He said, "You're going into this room, and you're going in alone, and you're going to stay in here until it's time to come out." I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. The doctor closes the door, and I don't hear it locked, but I don't check to see if it is or not, because it doesn't matter, right? He said, "I'm staying in the room, so I'm staying in the room until it's time to come out." What does that mean? No idea. I didn't ask. Wasn't gonna ask. Well, I assumed it meant that he would come and get me after a long time to teach me how to be alone with my thoughts, or something like that, to meditate on existence, something lofty, probably, right? By the way, none of you have to write this down. I'm just talking, and this wasn't what I was gonna talk about today, but just listen. So I'm I'm in this room all by myself. There's a chair. That's about it. And I sit in the chair. I get up. I sit back down. I have no idea how much time has gone by. I didn't wear a watch back then, and now I do. I do because of being in that room. That's the truth. I start to do what you do when you're somewhere and you don't know how long you're gonna be there. I count the seconds, and then I count the minutes. Try to figure out when an hour has gone by, when 2 hours have gone by, 3. I pace. I walk every inch of that room. I start listing off things in the room. I talk. I talk to myself. I talk to my mom, or I try to talk to my mom, but she's not answering. I had lost her that winter. I tell her where I am. I tell her what I'm up to, how I'm still in the program, even though she hated religion and told me I was studying fairy tales and harassed me about it in between coughing up blood on her deathbed. And maybe she was right. I mean, here I am in this empty room trying to talk to ghosts, and it's my theology professor who put me there. I start thinking about the other students in the program. Now, where are they in the building? Can they hear me? Should I call out to them? Is that cheating? Is Dr. D still hanging around somewhere, making sure we follow the rules? But there wasn't a rule about calling out, right? So why did it feel wrong to do it? Even think about it. I didn't call out. I sat in that room and I thought about my brother, who I hadn't spoken to since the funeral because he wasn't there when my mom died, and I couldn't forgive him for it. Even as I sat day after day studying all of these texts and all of this ideology on forgiveness and forgiving, I couldn't forgive him. I thought, well, maybe I'll sit in here and I'll count the minutes, and after so many minutes, I'll forgive my brother. Didn't happen. Or maybe I'll be in here for 10 days, and at the end of the 10 days, I'll stop thinking about my mother. Nope. Didn't happen. I thought, nobody knows I'm here. What if I'm in danger? What if the professor has lost his mind and this was his way of getting rid of all of us? Well, who would know? Well, you're a bunch of college kids. Well, college kids go missing all the time. Like, if you want to write that down, you can. Never agree to go somewhere and not tell anyone where you're going, even if I tell you to. But don't do everything the person in charge tells you to do. And that's your life lesson of the day. Don't just say yes. Because sometimes you wind up in a room. You wind up in a room and nobody knows you're there and you don't know how to get out. I start hearing my brother's voice. And at first, it sounded like all the messages that he would leave in my answering machine, that grainy, staticky sound. Then it was like he was on the other side of the door. And then right next to me was sitting in that chair asking for money, telling me to go to hell, saying he was sorry that he wasn't there when I buried our mother, telling me I should leave the room. And I said, I want to talk to Mom. But nothing. Just him, just my brother, and then nothing. Minutes go by, and they start to expand. So you think you're counting to 60 and getting somewhere, but really you wind up holding all this time in your chest that you can't expel, that you can't get out. It lands in you and you live there with it, and it is so goddamn weighted. You feel like you're going to go right through the floor which would be fine because at least it would get you out of that room. The walls started to multiply, but the room didn't get any bigger. The surfaces went opaque. I felt locked into this rigid stance. The chair felt like it was on the other side of the world. The door was gone. My clothes were gone. I started watching parts of me disappear. My legs, my hands, the spot at the center of me where I felt like I could center myself, using techniques I'd learned to calm down when I started having panic attacks after the funeral. I was unmoored, truly. I started feeling dazed. I started feeling something more than days, but more than that, more than how we measure time. I started to lose it, that sense of time and how it passes, and I realized it wasn't isolation or loneliness, boredom that was disabling me this way. It was grief. I had gone right from losing my mother and, in a very real way, my brother, in such a short amount of time. My whole family that I had. Sorry, I'm sorry. I had gone right from that into the next thing, and then the next, and then the next, and that way. I didn't leave any room for grief, and I didn't want to, and I knew what would happen. I didn't know that locking myself in a room would bring it out, but I knew that if I didn't keep myself occupied, the first thing that would drop down into me, into that center where I was, where I am, bound to myself, would be grief. Not because it asserts itself, right? You know that, or maybe you don't, but I was not unique. I am not unique. We all live with grief. And the challenge, I think, being who we are as people in this life is to find a way to appreciate and not fear grief. And that grief had been ignored for so long at that point that it had manifested. It morphed into this liquid that was pouring down the walls, coming at me like a great flood, pouring into that room. But then I saw a break in it, and I remember feeling, knowing that in that opening was my brother, and what was left of my connection to him. And I knew that there was no surviving this grief without reaching out to him. And maybe not with forgiveness, but with a movement in that direction, of something that could one day lead to forgiveness. So I remember reaching out, and then I remember falling asleep. And then I woke up still in that room, and I heard a voice on the other side of the door. I don't know whose voice it was. It wasn't my brother's voice. It wasn't the voice of Dr. Dubium or someone else in the program or my mother. And I don't think it was God, because as you know, I have a reputation in this department for being a theology professor who doesn't believe in God. But I heard a voice. I'll leave it at that. And the voice said, "Come out." So I got up. I noticed that the room looked like a room again. The walls were walls. The floor was a floor. I was myself in a way that I hadn't been previous to that. So I opened the door. It wasn't locked. It had never been locked. I went down the corridors. I went up the stairs. I made it to the front door. I walked outside. It was dark. I didn't know how long I'd been in there. I still don't. because but the car was gone. The car we took, me and the others, they had apparently gotten scared, left. I don't begrudge them for it. They didn't want to interfere with whatever it was that was happening with me, and they probably wouldn't have found me even if they had wanted to. But later they told me they would have come back for me, but whether or not that was true, it doesn't really matter. So I walked back to the apartment I had in student housing, a mile or so away. I heard the grasshoppers on my walk home. I smelled the air coming off the ponds, the road. I felt the early evening warmth. That meant graduation was right around the corner. And when I got home, I slept for a long time. We never had another class with Dr. Dubium. He passed away the night he left us all there, heart attack, in his sleep. And we never got to ask him what the point of the experiment was. And when we looked through his books to find stories of the ancient monks, we couldn't find any proof that they had ever done anything like it or that he'd done it with any other students before us, because we were so close to the end of the semester. All other obstacles in the way of our completing the program were removed. And we did. We finished. We got our degree. But we never spoke about our time in those rooms. Now, I've never spoken about it to any class or to anybody until now. So, my brother didn't come to my graduation, but that summer he came to live with me for a few months because he had gotten himself into some really bad trouble. And we started out on the long road to reconciliation, and we're still on that road today, but we are on it. And I'm grateful for that. I still talk to my mother every day, except now I don't need her to talk back to me because I know what she'd say, and that's enough for me. Now, they want me to give you all an exam in theology, but I'm not going to do that because it occurs to me that that right now you might be in a room yourself, although your room might seem to have windows and doors and other people in it with you, and that's fine. But I'm going to say to you what my professor said to me, and I hope you hear it, even though I couldn't hear him when he said, you're going to stay in here until it's time to come out. Sounds like a demand, doesn't it? Sounds like an instruction. Sometimes in education, teaches you to hear things in a different way, like a voice, like guidance, like a grasshopper on a spring night on a long walk home. I won't be giving you any more tests or lecturing after today. All I'm going to ask is that you sit in the room you're in until it's time to come out. And rarely do we get the chance to be anywhere quietly and listen to the things we've been trying not to hear. And I think you should take that time. I really do. But I want you to know that while it's true that when you leave is up to you, there are others in your position, not very far from you at all, despite you thinking that they are. Call out. Call out to them. Even if you think they can't hear you. It's enough to even let them know you're there. But leaving is still up to you. I would be remiss in suggesting that there's a resolution on the other side of that door. But please know that when you leave, it won't be the end of the despair you're feeling, or the rage, or the grief. But it is a step towards something else.
Thank you so much, Tony. You're so brilliant.
Thank
you to every single one of our performers tonight. And I just want to thank everyone else for tuning in tonight. I want to give a special thank you to Joe Lazzarini and everyone at Rhode Island Pride for helping us out. And tonight we have raised over $1,200, which is amazing. That is enough money to help us going for a day. So that's enough money for one day. So if you can, beyond this, give a little bit more by texting hashtag stay home to 44321 and keep us going for days to come. Thank you so much to everyone. And I hope everyone has a good night and keeps giving. Be kind to one another.
Thank
Stay
you, everybody.
safe. Wear masks. Wash your hands. Mwah, 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 mwah.